Here's a question. What happens when the world's most famous, fun ship suddenly decides that fun needs limits? Imagine booking a cruise expecting endless parties, free-flowing drinks, casual dining, and carefree nights under the stars, only to step on board and realize the rules have completely changed. Carnival Cruise Line, a name millions associate with affordable vacations and non-stop fun, has dropped a series of new rules that are turning heads across the cruising world. Some passengers are cheering the changes. Others are furious. Everyone is asking the same thing. Why now, and what does this mean for the future of cruising? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll see how Carnival's rulebook is being rewritten, and whether these changes are the end of fun or the start of something bigger. Quick pause before we set sail. If you love cruising content, hit subscribe and ring the bell icon. We dive deep into the stories cruise lines don't always want you to know. And trust me, what Carnival is doing right now is one of the biggest shakeups in years. The birth of the fun ship. Carnival's story begins in the early 1970s. While other cruise lines focused on luxury, formality, and exclusivity, Carnival broke the mold. They weren't selling white glove service and ballroom dancing. They were selling fun. Bright colors, nonstop parties, and affordable prices turned Carnival into the cruise line for the everyday traveler. It didn't take long for the company to brand itself as the fun ships. And the formula worked. Families loved it, young groups loved it, and most importantly, the affordability made cruising accessible to millions of people who had never dreamed of stepping on a ship before. But here's the catch. That fun-first reputation came at a cost. Over the years, Carnival gained another nickname, the Party Cruise Line. If you've ever scrolled through YouTube or TikTok, you've probably seen viral clips of chaotic moments on Carnival ships. Drunken brawls are breaking out on the pool deck. Guests are shouting at crew members. Entire dining rooms turning into dance floors, and sometimes fight clubs. Now, not every cruise was like this. In fact, most passengers had perfectly normal vacations. But Carnival's brand was slowly being tied to one word, rowdy, and in an era where every incident can be filmed, uploaded, and shared with millions within hours, that image started to hurt. Behind the scenes, Carnival executives were asking themselves, how do we keep the fun but lose the chaos? The answer: new rules, stricter guidelines. A modernized policy book that looks very different from the one passengers knew just a few years ago. But wait until you hear about the one rule that could actually get you kicked off the ship with no refund. It's coming up soon. Alcohol, the first crackdown. For decades, Carnival had one of the most relaxed attitudes toward drinking at sea. Passengers could bring limited beverages on board, and once the party started, Carnival's bartenders were ready to keep it flowing. But as the fun ship reputation grew, so did the problems tied to alcohol. Stories began to pile up. Passengers sneaking hard liquor onto the ship using shampoo bottles or hollowed-out soda cans. Others bragged about how they smuggled entire bottles of vodka in mouthwash containers dyed green. On forums, how to sneak booze onto a Carnival ship became a popular topic, and Carnival knew it. At first, the company shrugged. After all, more alcohol meant more partying, and more partying meant Carnival was living up to its fun reputation. But then the consequences hit. Drunk passengers are causing disruptions, fights in nightclubs, overboard incidents, viral videos of intoxicated chaos. Suddenly, Carnival realized something. Alcohol wasn't just fueling fun. It was fueling their biggest image problem. That's when the crackdown began. Carnival introduced new beverage rules. Only one bottle of wine or champagne per adult is allowed on board. No more bottled water or soda brought in plastic. Only canned beverages, sealed and within strict limits. No outside liquor whatsoever. And for those thinking they could still sneak alcohol past security, Carnival stepped up inspections. Bag checks became more thorough. Suspicious containers were confiscated. And yes, if you were caught, you could face fines or have your entire stash dumped before you even boarded. From Carnival's perspective, the goal was clear. Control alcohol consumption, reduce unruly behavior, and protect the cruise experience for families. But not everyone agreed. Some loyal cruisers felt targeted. complaining that Carnival was nickel and diming guests by forcing them to buy drinks on board at inflated prices. Others argued the rules made sense. After all, why should one drunk passenger ruin an entire vacation for thousands of others? Muster drills are now, and alcohol wasn't the only lifestyle habit Carnival set its sights on. In fact, their next rule touched a nerve in a place every cruiser cares about, the dining room. Dining rules, casual no more. If alcohol is Carnival's most controversial rule, dining comes in a close second. For decades, one of Carnival's biggest draws was its casual atmosphere. Unlike luxury lines, you didn't have to pack a tuxedo or evening gown to enjoy dinner. A polo shirt and jeans were excellent. Families could come straight from the pool to the buffet. It was cruising without pretense. But as the years went by, complaints started rolling in. Passengers showing up in bathing suits. People wearing shirts with offensive slogans are in the main dining room. Flip-flops, cut-off shorts, and even pajamas are appearing at dinner tables. Now some guests loved the laid-back vibe, but others felt it cheapened the entire experience. They wanted a vacation that felt special, not a floating fast food joint. So Carnival updated its dress code. The new rules: no swimwear, gym clothes, or pajamas in dining rooms. No offensive or inappropriate clothing. Encouragement of smart casual attire for dinner. To many, it was a small but welcome change. To others, it felt like Carnival was abandoning the very thing that made it different. The truth is, Carnival is trying to reinvent itself. And that reinvention isn't stopping with dining or alcohol. It's spreading across the ship, from the pool deck to the casino, even to the air passengers breathe on board. But before we get there, let me warn you, the next rule change strikes at one of the most divisive habits on Earth. For smokers, this could feel like a deal breaker. Smoking rules, no more loopholes. Smoking has always been one of the most divisive topics on cruise ships. Back in the 1980s and 90s, smoking was allowed almost everywhere, in cabins, dining rooms, and even theaters. Today, times have changed dramatically. Carnival's new policies now restrict smoking to designated outdoor areas only, usually small sections of the open decks and parts of the casino. Everywhere else, strictly off limits. But here's the twist. Vaping, once thought to be the loophole, is now treated the same as smoking. Many passengers believe they could vape freely since it's just vapor, not smoke. Carnival shut that down quickly. Why the change? Two big reasons: health and safety. Cruise ships are floating cities, and nothing spreads faster than secondhand smoke in shared spaces. Parents complained about smoke drifting across pool decks where kids were playing. Non-smokers hated smelling it in hallways. And then there's fire risk, one of the greatest dangers at sea. A single lit cigarette tossed over a balcony could spark disaster. By limiting smoking areas, Carnival is protecting both passengers and the ship itself. Of course, smokers aren't happy. Online forums are full of complaints. I paid for this vacation, and now I feel like an outcast. Others push back. Why should my family breathe smoke on vacation? This tug of war shows something deeper. Carnival is choosing to side with the majority, non-smokers. And in doing so, it's making the ship feel cleaner, healthier, and in line with modern travel expectations. But smoking rules are just the warm-up. The next policy is Carnival's boldest yet, one that could end your vacation instantly if you cross the line. Zero tolerance policy, the harshest rule. Yet this might be the most talked about rule of all, Carnival's zero tolerance policy. If you've seen viral videos of brawls breaking out in Carnival dining rooms, you know where this comes from. Groups of passengers getting into fistfights, chairs are being thrown, security is rushing in, clips are spreading on TikTok with millions of views. Every time that happens, it doesn't just affect the ship, it affects Carnival's global reputation. So Carnival dropped the hammer. Any passenger caught fighting, harassing others, or ignoring crew instructions will be removed at the next port. No refund, no excuses. You're gone. This isn't an empty threat. Passengers have already been kicked off ships under this rule. Imagine being left in a foreign country, paying your own way home, because you couldn't control your temper. Why so strict? Because safety at sea is different from safety on land. When a ship is hundreds of miles offshore, one violent incident can spiral quickly. Crew members aren't just bartenders and entertainers. They're also trained in crowd control. Carnival even increased security presence on board. More cameras. More trained staff are ready to step in. Critics argue this makes cruising feel like school. Follow the rules or else. Supporters say it's long overdue. After all, who wants their vacation ruined because a handful of passengers can't behave? But here's something most cruisers don't realize. Carnival isn't just tightening rules through people. They're tightening them through technology. And this next change might surprise you. Technology, the silent rule enforcer. Another major shift is happening quietly through technology. Carnival has been rolling out new digital systems, PP-based, replacing long, crowded gatherings. Reservations for dining and shows can be made on your phone. Onboard purchases are fully cashless, tracked through your card or app. It sounds convenient, and it is, but it also gives Carnival something powerful: data and control. Every drink you buy, every show you attend, and even how much time you spend at the casino, Carnival's system is tracking it. That data helps them personalize offers, but it also makes it easier to enforce rules. For example, if your card shows you've bought 12 drinks before noon, staff can step in before things get out of hand. If you miss a muster drill on the app, the system alerts the crew instantly. Some passengers love the efficiency, others feel uneasy. It's like Big Brother at sea, one cruiser wrote, but the reality is technology is shaping the future of cruising, and Carnival is leading the charge. And that brings us to the big question: why now? Why is Carnival suddenly rewriting decades of tradition? The answer lies in three game-changing forces. Why Carnival is changing, the hidden reasons. Now let's step back. Why is Carnival changing so much, so quickly? Three main reasons. 1. Post-pandemic pressures. The pandemic changed travel forever. Health, hygiene, and crowd management became top priorities. Cruise lines can't afford another outbreak, so stricter rules are the new normal. 2. Passenger behavior in the age of social media. Every incident is filmed, uploaded, and spreads instantly. One viral fight can do millions in damage to Carnival's image. Rules are the shield against bad PR. 3. Industry competition. Royal Caribbean is building record-breaking ships. MSC is offering luxury vibes at competitive prices. Norwegian is upping the game with specialty dining. Carnival can't afford to look cheap and chaotic anymore. In other words, these rules aren't random. They're survival. But survival comes with a cost. And if you ask Carnival's most loyal fans, they'll tell you exactly what they think is being lost. Reactions: divided cruisers. The cruise community is split. On one side, longtime Carnival fans feel betrayed. I booked Carnival for the fun, not rules, some say. They see the changes as stripping away the brand's identity. On the other side, families and first-time cruisers are applauding. Finally, a safer, more enjoyable environment. The debate rages in Facebook groups, YouTube comments, and review sites. And Carnival is stuck in the middle, trying to please both sides. And that brings us to the million-dollar question. What does the future look like for Carnival? Are we witnessing the end of the fun ship or the rebirth of a brand new era? The future, a new era of cruising. Looking ahead, Carnival's path is clear. More control, more structure, more family-focused experiences. The wild party days may be fading, replaced by curated fun that feels safe and manageable. Think of it as Disney Cruise Line with a little more edge. But here's the suspense. Will this alienate Carnival's core audience? The ones who came for the cheap, fun, carefree vibe? Or will it bring in a whole new wave of cruisers looking for affordable family vacations without the chaos? Time will tell. But one thing is certain. The era of anything goes cruising is over. So now it's over to you. Are Carnival's new rules saving the cruise experience or ruining the fun? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading them all. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the cruise world. Every week, we uncover the secrets, the changes, and the future of life at sea. Carnival calls itself the fun ship, But fun is being redefined. These new rules may feel strict today, but in 10 years we may look back and say this was the turning point, when cruising left its wild past behind and sailed into a new era. The ocean hasn't changed. The sunsets are just as beautiful, the waves just as endless. But on board, everything is different. And the real question is, when you book your next cruise, will you embrace the new rules or miss the old freedom?